So let me go ahead and just read this. So I'm looking sideways because I have two screens here. So reflection paper, both of them together will be 50 points, so 25 points each. So you will be required to submit 2 papers during weeks 5 and 10 of the quarter. So here we are in week 5 already, which I can't believe, but here we are anyway. Your paper will focus on one key concept listed in any of the chapters covered thus far. The papers must include a summary of a scholarly article and a reflection portion. So those are kind of the two main big sections that you'll want to be thinking about. The summary of the scholarly article is going to be just that. So you're going to go and find a scholarly article. If you're not sure where to go for that, the library is a great resource. So if you go to the library database, they have a whole database of all kinds of articles. And if you go through the different limiters there, you can adjust that and then just look for scholarly articles, peer-reviewed, and then full journal, and then PDFs, and then you can come up with all kinds of scholarly articles. So I think one of the ways people end up losing points with this one is that a lot of times they'll end up thinking that a scholarly article is something like a blog, that somebody wrote about anxiety or something like that, or maybe even going to like APA's website and going through one of their articles that they have just posted on the website. Those aren't technically what I would consider to be scholarly articles that are peer-reviewed in a journal. And so that's really what you're looking for, a journal, peer-reviewed, and that includes all of those different headers that you would normally see in a scholarly article. So definitely don't be using blogs, anything like that, because you're gonna lose points for that. Definitely find a scholarly article. And when you do a summary, you're really looking at the whole article. So you want to look at the article and you want to take notes about, what are they describing as kind of the issue that's being talked about here? What's the methodology look like? And then what are the results from this? And then I like to, push people to think even further. And when you went through your initial read of this, did you feel like these results were valid? Did you feel like the methodology was strong? Was there anything there that you might do differently? Things like that. Oftentimes, those are like the A papers, when people take that extra step to really synthesize the material and truly kind of go through and really think from their own perspective. So I would say definitely, at least you want to get a nice summary there. That's really what I'm looking for to get points. But if you want to take it to that next level, then include that. So the reflection portion I'll talk a little bit more about the reflection portion in a piece, but that's kind of the other area where you're looking at what's happening, with not only the scholarly article where you're kind of including your own experience there, but you're really talking about how and kind of why this you brought up, or you were interested in the topic, why you're focused on it, how it relates to your own experience. And it doesn't have to be you personally, but maybe it's somebody else in your family that you've seen kind of deal with one of the issues in the field of psychology that you choose, whatever it happens to be, but it's really your relationship to the topic. The papers are intended to encourage in-depth and critical thinking about how a particular topic has meaning for you. So how does that topic have meaning for you? And that's really the hope, is that you at least have found one thing that you've been interested in so far that really kind of inspires you and makes you want to think a little bit deeper, about this, that the book maybe just covered at a surface level. And so that's what I'm hoping. It's kind of an opportunity to dig in a little bit deeper. So at minimum, questions to make sure you answer are: how does this key concept relate to your personal experience? How has the article informed your understanding of the topic? So this is going to be how you kind of start to weave that summary of the article back into your reflection portion of it. How does the key concept relate to human behavior in the context of a biopsychosocial model? So hopefully you had the chance to see that biopsychosocial video that's out there. If not, go back and look at that. But this is another place where people oftentimes lose points, is that they don't really go into the bio, the psychological, and the social aspects of it. So make sure that it's very clear you're talking about each of those different domains so that you really get that broad perspective. So you want to make sure that you talk about your topic in the biological, again in the psychological, and then again in the sociocultural. So as long as you hit those three aspects of the biopsychosocial and connect it to that topic, you're gonna be doing great there. What questions do you still have? So this shouldn't be the end, right? This is the field of psychology, and we don't know hardly anything yet. I mean, we have a lot of understanding, but I think in the big picture of things, we're still in kind of the infancy of this field of study. And so this really should be not only answering some questions for you, but also inspiring more questions. So, if you can't think of any questions, push yourself and think of at least one. And I'm hoping to see at least 2 questions from folks. But really, this should really get you thinking to that point of, oh gosh, I wonder what if this, or I wonder what would happen if this, or I wonder why we haven't studied this part of it yet, or whatever, those questions might be. And you're not expected to answer those. It's really just putting those questions out there. So you can earn 25 points on each reflection paper with a total of 50 points for this one that's due this Sunday, and then the one that's due at the end of the quarter. So general requirements, papers are due on 2/7 and 3/14 before midnight, and you'll submit that in Canvas. Submit at least 2 full pages of writing. And so this is the absolute minimum that I've seen that anybody has been able to succinctly and coherently complete all the requirements of this paper. Is really 2 pages has been the minimum. You're probably going to expect that it's going to look more between like 3-4 pages. And I have received papers that have been much longer. There's some folks who really get into their topic, and I've seen 20-page papers. That's not the expectation, don't worry. And if I got 30 20-page papers, even though I don't have any hair, I would be tempted to try to pull my hair out. So I'm thinking at least 2 is going to be able to get you to that place. You're probably going to want to push yourself to like 3 to 4 to really feel like you've adequately covered everything. Late assignments won't be accepted. The paper must be typed, 12-point font. Times New Roman, that's what I put just to make sure that you have an idea of kind of when I say 2 pages, what that looks like. I know that some of the fonts can change the paper size, so that's why I put it that. If you know that it's in Times New Roman, yeah, but you like Calibri or some other one better, totally fine. You can use whatever font you want. This is just more to give you an idea of what 2 full pages looks like. And then double spaced. So you'll want to use APA style citation for your references and your in-text citations. You don't have to worry about this being APA style throughout the whole paper. Really, I'm just looking for in-text citations and the reference section. So you're going to want to have a reference section there as well. And then this is another place where students oftentimes lose points, is that I would really like to see an electronic version of the article that you use. And so that's part of the requirements. So you want to either submit the PDF, if you can download that PDF and then upload it into Canvas, that would be perfect. If for some reason you're having a hard time getting the PDF format, other people in the past have just copied that and then pasted it into a Word document. And that's worked just fine as well. So you can feel free to do it that way. This is how I keep on top of things oftentimes, is that I obviously can't read every journal article or all the stuff that's being published nonstop all the time. And so it's really helpful for me to actually go through and read the articles that you all submit, because I assume that you all have done a lot of the legwork for me, and I don't have to go out and try to find the most relevant article, that you have already done that. But then it also gives me a sense of how adequate you did when it comes to the summary section, that I can actually see the article in full and be able to say, oh yeah, they wrote a very nice article there, or a very nice summary on that article there, or that journal article. So Cynthia Clark, who, you know, rest in peace, Cynthia, we miss you. She kept her website up, and it is up to date. I believe she said that she was getting it up to date with the APA style guide manual, the 7th edition of that. So she has, and it's in the syllabus there, you can see a link there. She has all of that APA style stuff up there. You can also use tools like Purdue OWL is also another good one that really helps you if you're questioning what does an APA style reference section look like or in-text citation look like. That is the requirements of the paper, and that's kind of what I'm expecting to see from folks to get, you know, that solid A paper. What questions do you all have at this point?
What did you mean by methodology when you were talking about the articles, journal articles?
So all the journal articles that are peer reviewed and have their own original research will have a section called methodology. And it's basically a section that tells you exactly how they came up with their experiment or whatever it is that they're talking about. So and it's really important. You probably remember in like the first chapter when it talked about the research part of this, that without a solid methodology section, we don't know what was done in this. So we can't really say, oh, was this good research? Was this bad research? Or if it comes out with these amazing results, we want to be able to replicate that. And so without a solid methodology section, we won't be able to replicate that effectively. So that's what the methodology section is. So you'll just make some comments about what you saw there and kind of what their process looked like.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. What else?
How did you never mind.
No, you sure?
Yeah, I spaced and was gonna ask like how far is the APA, like because I've for like all of my high school and everything I've written in MLA formatting, and so that's like literally all I've known, so I'm not sure how far the APA like formatting is from MLA, but I'll look into that more before I write it.
Yeah, it's there's some differences. It's subtle, but luckily the reference, it's not too drastically different. And usually it's most of the journal articles these days, you can actually get, they have a tool there that says cite this, and then all of a sudden it puts it, and then it'll ask you, is it APA, MLA?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it kind of does a lot of that work for you already. Then it would just be really just doing the in-text citations appropriately, which is pretty simple. So I'm not asking a ton with the APA style, just to help me a little bit.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. What other questions?
So would you recommend that we stick with one article, or is it okay to add other articles that support the concept in the original?
Yeah, for sure. You know, if you, so you're just going to summarize the one scholarly article that you choose, but if you've got multiple resources that you want to, references that you want to include, you're more than welcome to. And, you know, of course, that from my perspective, that's just going to strengthen your paper. You know, the more sources that you can include and cite, the more evidence you have and the more information that you'll get as well. So yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Is there a time, I don't know the word, like a specific date you want us to aim for how old the article is or anything?
You know, I used to want the article from the past 5 years, but you know, depending on what you found to be really interesting, there might be only kind of one like seminal article that highlights everything. So if you're thinking about like social learning theory, you'll be going back to Bandura's original work, and that's probably going to be, you know, the most informative and appropriate article that you're going to be able to find on that. And so in that case, I started just saying, yeah, that anything that really connects to it is going to be fine. If you can find something newer, awesome. But if you are looking for that original work that is just amazing, like Bandura stuff as an example, go ahead and use that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So we don't need to come up with a thesis or a stance on the article.
Nope.
It's the summary and how we relate to it, pretty
Yep.
much.
Yep, exactly. Yep, just summarizing the article and then doing that reflection piece and then connecting, the article to your reflection as well. Yeah, hopefully it's not a super duper, stressful paper to write. In general, I'm not going to go through and I won't be, unless your writing is illegible to me and I can't read it, there's not going to be any reason for me to go through and say, oh gosh, you forgot a comma here, and this is not appropriate grammar, or as long as you're writing a college paper, it's going to be fine. I'm not going to go through all that stuff. If you start writing your college paper as if you were texting your good friend or something, yes, then we're going to have an issue. But otherwise, I think I'm not your English 102 instructor who's going to go through and just mark up your whole paper. This is about the content, right? This is about your interest in the field of psychology and something that we're working on. And so I'm definitely not going to spend my time looking at that. I'm really going to be looking at how did you connect to it, and was the information that you provided accurate and good information.